I'm Bob Harris of Decorative Concrete Institute. Welcome to Duramin's training and educational series for industrial and decorative flooring systems. We're getting ready to demonstrate the Patinaetch, which is an acid-based stain for concrete, and in this case on our panel, the Skim coat Scrifino. To recap, what we've done up until this point is we've prepped the surface, we primed with CP1000, we let that dry for between 8 to 10 hours. We came back the following day, we reprimed again. About an hour and a half to 2 hours after that, we applied Scrifino as a base coat, and then we applied another coat after that first application, and we tinted the Scrifino fine with a color fast color. And that's what you see right here. So the fact that we're about to apply the Patinaetch, a couple of observations you need to be aware of. You want to make sure that you pre-sand your surface prior to that. Oftentimes when working with products like this, sometimes you might get a little bit of the polymer that floats to the surface, and it could actually impede the penetration and the reaction of the Patinaetch. So it is a great idea to go ahead and throw on a 120 grit sanding screen or sanding pad and just buzz right over the surface, vacuum that up, and then you're ready to go on to the application of the Patinaetch. Now, Patinaetch can be used both interior and exterior. Pretty much anything that contains cement will derive a reaction from the Patinaetch. So what that means is you can stain exterior concrete, pool decks, patios, garage floors, and in this case, it's a wonderful medium to work with to stain our Scrifino, which is what we're about to do. On this floor, we recommend diluting the Patinaetch 3 to 1. That's 3 parts water to 1 part Patinaetch. What happens is these products are fairly cement rich, and if you don't thin it down a little bit more with water than you would on a traditional concrete, the acid stain can get overly intense in color, very bright. So it is a good idea to go with that 3 to 1 ratio as a starting point. Now that's not to say that you can't dilute it more. I've actually done as many as 15 parts water to 1 part Patinaetch. It really depends on the look that you're trying to get. So over this video series, we're going to be demonstrating the prep, which is what I'm about to do with our screen, proper application techniques, certainly one of the most important considerations, which is cleaning and neutralizing any residual. And then once that's dry, we're going to demonstrate some decorative options on the panel. So I'm going to get busy and get this panel sanded. As I'm sanding this panel, I'm reminded of the fact that not all the time do you have to use Patinaetch on these floors. This could be a standalone floor by itself with this beautiful character that we have into this. If you'd like, refer back to the video on applying the Scrifino. And during that video, when I'm hand troweling this, I'm purposely troweling texture into this. And we'll get a close-up shot in just a moment, but this texture is gorgeous. So you could literally just clean this floor and seal it and have a gorgeous floor. But for the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to apply the Patinaetch. We're ready for our next step on our Patinaetch application. Remember, we used a 120 grit sanding screen, vacuum that up, and now we want to keep this surface as clean as possible. That's a common mistake I see people make, is they walk right out on the slab with dirty boots and track stuff off, and actually that could ultimately affect how the Patinaetch reacts and takes to the surface. So try to keep the surface as clean as possible. Another tip I like to do is I like to just pre-wetting. It doesn't have to be flooded on water, but I like to just pre-wet the surface. And once the standing water is gone, really that's going to help you avoid any unwanted brush marks from brushing or burn marks, okay? So we do like to just pre-wet the surface prior to that. Now you'll notice on the sides here we have everything masked off. Okay, you just can't have the Patinaetch get on the surface and contaminate your adjoining areas. So in the sprayer here is just water. Now also, it's a good idea when I'm teaching beginners how to acid stain, what I like to have them do anyways is just take a clean spray bottle like this with water and develop your spray pattern for acid staining, Patinaetch. So it's just good. You can see we have a conical tip, and notice the distance that the surface is from the concrete, the tip is. We're probably a good 18 inches from the surface of the concrete. A common mistake I see beginners make is they do this, and what happens is, had this been acid stained, right there you would have a big dark burn mark. So it's really nice to learn how to do your spray pattern with just water. You notice I'm kind of keeping it going like this in a circular fashion. Now also, we talked about it in earlier videos, I'm always trying to read my concrete surface. What I mean by that, I'm looking back over there and I'm making a mental note how this is absorbing, okay? So I can see that it's really taking the water really quite nice. So that means that it's open because we sanded it, and it's going to allow the Patinaetch to penetrate right into the surface. If it stayed wet for say the next 5 to 10 minutes and it didn't absorb into the surface, I'd be concerned, and perhaps I might even consider sanding it one more time. So it is important to go ahead and open those pores up like we've done here. We'll let that dry out, and then we'll get busy on our Patinaetch application. Just as a reminder, despite the fact that we're going to be applying Patinaetch to this surface, I wanted to just point out how beautiful this floor is with no stain on it. So you could conceivably just run some sealer coats over the top of this and be left with a very aesthetically pleasing floor. In preparation for our application of the Patinaetch acid stain, a couple of very important pointers. We've talked about this on several of the videos. Remember, safety is not a game. So you need to wear non-absorbent gloves. Since I have to wear eyeglasses, what I'm going to do is when I start spraying, I'm going to go ahead and put safety goggles on. You just don't want anything to splash on you. So you really need to protect yourself. Now, this type of a scenario, we're just for video purposes demonstrating as far as the Patinaetch getting dumped into the container. We would never ever do this in the real world, meaning do any mixing right on your finished floor. In the unlikely event that it splashed or I spilled the bucket, it would be permanent on your floor. So you want to have your mixing station set up off of the floor, and have a tarp down so if you do spill, you don't contaminate any of that area. The sprayers that you use are important, and there's a variety of different manufacturers that produce pump sprayers that are specific for acid staining. This just happens to be one that we have here at the shop, but you can see right here on the sprayer itself, it says acid staining. And so the reason it's important is all of the components have been retrofitted to stand up to the acids, whereas if we were to put solvents, for example, like acetone or an acetone dye or xylene, there's a very good chance the solvents would corrode all of the seals and the gaskets. So you do want to use a professional style sprayer. I've heard horror stories of people purchasing just a cheap, $10 to $15 pump sprayer from a big box store, only to find out that in the middle of the application the hose blows up and it spits and spews sting everywhere. So invest in professional style sprayers. It's gonna be much better in the long run. So on our Patinaetch, what we're using is a color called Aged Buff, and just as a reminder, on this Microtopping skim coat, this is Scrifino. We are diluting it 3 parts water to 1 part Patinaetch. So we're going to get going here. Now, on the subject of safety, make certain that before you start that everything is tightened. All of your attachments are in fact tight. In one scenario I heard of, an applicator was pumping this up and pumping and pumping, and that's one thing that's important when you're applying a patina etch, is you want to fully pressurize the pump sprayer. You want the stain to come out of the end of the tip where it's atomized, meaning it's not just spewing the material on. You want a nice fog. And he pumped so much pressure into it, the end of the wand here blew off of the sprayer and unfortunately got on him and the finished floor too. So really check everything to make certain that you're ready to go. And so with that, I'm going to stand up for a second here, and I'm going to really pressurize our sprayer, and we're going to go ahead with our application of patina etch. We're getting ready to apply our aged buff patina etch. A couple of very important pointers. You'd be surprised, although this sounds so elementary, but you'd be surprised how many contractors I see out in the real world make these very, very basic mistakes. For example, they walk across the floor without keeping the tip of the sprayer either in a bucket or in a rag. I've seen it time and time again. They just take off and walk right across the floor to get to their destination where they're standing, and then cry the blues because they see drips on the floor. So it's very basic elementary techniques to help a successful acid stain job. Another common mistake I see people make is they just spray the stain. They don't broom or massage the stain in. And out of all the techniques that I've personally taught through the years, this is probably the single most important tip. It's a 3-step process. You're going to always spray, you're going to broom, but here's the catcher. That third and final step is you're going to spray it again. So just remember that. Spray, broom, spray. Spray, broom, spray. If you only spray and broom, guaranteed you're going to get unwanted brush marks. So don't skip that very important third step. On a large job, I'm going to have a third person with a jug like this or a sprayer filled up with the same color, and I'm spraying, Brian's brooming, and then a third person is spraying right behind Brian who's brooming. So if you don't massage, especially on a skim coat or a microtopping like Sgraffino, if you don't brush or massage the stain in, it's going to dry with a very speckled look, okay, or dots everywhere. Is that a bad thing? No, not all the time, but if you want more of a monochromatic look without the speckles or the dots, make sure you do this process that we're about to show you. Another common mistake I see people make is they don't have the bucket right here, okay, and they squeeze the trigger, and they don't have the bucket as an escape channel in the unlikely event that your tip clogs, for example. So I always want to have this, and the logic is this. When I'm ready to start staining, I squeeze the trigger inside of the bucket. While it's spraying, I come out of the bucket, and if I let off on the trigger for whatever reason, it goes back into the bucket, and then I let off. So again, I know it sounds basic and elementary, but time and time again I see people make these common mistakes. So don't make those mistakes. So we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to unwind my hose a little bit here and see what we get here. All right, here we go. Safety first. Brian's going to broom the stain in a circular fashion, and it's just a very light touch. If you push too hard, you're actually going to create brush marks. So you're basically just skimming over the surface with a medium bristled broom like you see here. I know of a few applicators that prefer to use a horsehair broom, the fine broom, to move it around. But so let's go. Again, notice the height. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go right into the tip. I'm going to come back and go right over where Brian's already broomed. He's going to come behind me. We're going to start this process again. Make sure you get right up against that edge. Into the bucket. I can see broom marks, and now by respraying back over it, in essence, I'm melting away those broom marks. Notice the speed in which we're working, and I would like you to also notice the distance that my tip is from the surface. It's a circular fashion. I'm at least 18 to 20 inches off of the surface. Okay, so that was a very good application of the Patinaetch. A couple of observations. Don't make the mistake of getting real close to the surface. If you puddle it, that's going to end up as a burn mark. You'll see a big dark splotch right here. So typically, depending on the conditions, it's 60 degrees inside the warehouse right now. We're going to probably wait about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we're going to come back and talk to you about cleaning and neutralizing prior to moving on to the next step. Okay, we just fogged on a layer of neutral cleaning solution, and now we're going to go ahead and start the scrubbing process to get the residue off. So now that we've got it saturated with neutral cleaner, we can come right on out here. I'm going to put a little bit more, and the goal is to get this surface spotless clean. So about 30 minutes has transpired since our application of Patinaetch, and I'm going to be fairly aggressive on trying to scrub the residue off. Now, this is another common mistake I see people will make sometimes in the industry, is not do a thorough job of cleaning and neutralizing this residue. So once the Patinaetch is dried, think of it in this terms. Basically, you have a layer of dried residue. And I like to, for a visual, refer to that as a colored powdered sugar. So if you don't remove that colored powdered sugar, which is the residue, there's no chance that your sealers or your coatings are going to adhere. So we're fairly aggressive in terms of scrubbing this residue off. Now, on a large job, you can use a squeegee vac, a walk behind, and Brian's going to get ready to start vacuuming all this. It's really important that don't let this dry. So in other words, if I'm working over here and it's starting to dry back there, it could actually be difficult to get it off the surface. So let's go ahead and start vacuuming this.